Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, my friends at Gooding Christie's are giving us a sneak peek into their offerings for the 2026 Pebble Beach auctions. Come on, let's go. Morning, Lance.
Hey, good morning, Maurice. Great to have you.
Thanks for having us in. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we've got a great lineup of cars coming to our Pebble Beach sale in August, and so I'm excited to have you here and check out some of the history we have in the room.
Perfect. Where do you want to start?
Let's go back in time a little bit, and we'll start with the 30s. I mean, the 32 Ford is the quintessential Southern California hot rod. And this car actually has period El Mirage history. We've got these quick disconnect latches up here. And so the whole hood is actually made of aluminum.
Twin Stromberg 97s, Edelbrock intake, Offenhauser heads, like all the right touches, right?
Yeah, it's everything you'd expect to see from a period hot rod with the side pipes, and it's just really well built and pretty incredible history.
There's a lot of fiberglass 32s out there, so it's really nice to see an original Henry Ford body.
Yeah, I feel like you see so many fiberglass cars or cars that were made up over the last 20 years or 30 years even, that when you actually see one that ran in period, it's pretty special.
And it's got an early 1950s, maybe late 1940s Mercury steering wheel. I love that touch. The gauges are awesome.
So we've got two El Mirage badges here from when it ran in period. One shows the 106.25 miles an hour, and the other one shows the 108.04 on June 2nd, 1946.
Lance, Porsche 904 GTS.
Yeah, really special car. This one in particular was delivered new in orange over blue interior. So it had a really cool spec originally. It did race in period. It raced at Sebring.
And this car has had one owner since 1973, so great history right there. I mean,
yeah, no, it's a pretty special car because it just hasn't been offered. It's been owned by the same owner really for the last 50 years.
I guess he liked it.
Yeah. he loved it actually. It was a tough day putting it on the transporter and sending it over, but I think they're excited to see new life brought into it, because for something like this, you could race it as is. But also because it was one of the few cars delivered new in orange with a blue interior, and it had a really cool specification that you don't typically see with 904s.
I do like the silver. I mean, you can't go wrong with a Porsche in silver, but
it's iconic.
The orange would be super cool. In fact, I saw one of the photos. It was raced as the Orange Blossom Special back in the day.
Yeah, it would be a really special car to restore back to how it was delivered new, and probably show it then, and then obviously get a chance to drive it.
There's cool details, like, for example, how the door is cut into the roof.
Yeah.
So give you a little bit more access, especially wearing a helmet, right?
Yeah, and there's certain things you could do with the body, obviously, because it was fiberglass, that you couldn't necessarily do with aluminum.
Right. This also is basically the ultimate four-cam Carrera motor, the Furman motor that everyone talks about.
It is. And if you've ever driven anything with a 4-cam engine, it's incredible to drive back-to-back a pushrod engine where it still has the spirit of Porsche, but then to drive a proper 4-cam in the revs on a track is a magical experience.
Okay, these are unlocked.
Yep, and then you should just be able to lift up. Go ahead and put a hand by the wheel well, and then up here in the snorkel.
Got it.
And then it should double hinge, so pull back if you can. There we go.
Got
Perfect.
it. Those carburetors, triple Webers on each side. It's so cool to see the mechanicals on these cars, you know. It's a true mid-engine car, gearbox hanging out the back there. I'll bet the sound of that engine behind your head is just fantastic.
Oh, right behind your head, right behind your ear.
I love Alfa Romeos, and this is a rarely seen model.
Yeah, the 1900 SSZ Lusso is a really special car. This one is obviously beautifully restored. So this is only the last of 3 cars that were built. An iconic Zagato bodied with the double bubble, the low wide nose. And this particular example is beautifully restored. Kind of goes back to a time when Grand Touring cars were very sporting and elegant as well, and not just purely functional for motorsport. This car is alloy bodied, plexiglass windows, and it's something that a collector could take on the Mille Miglia or the Colorado Grand and really enjoy the car, whether it's at a concours event or a rally.
Now, the Lusso spec means that this car has more luxurious interior appointments than a standard Super Sprint Zagato. It's a beautiful coupe, and The Zagato double bubble, that's the most obvious cue that you're looking at Zagato coachwork.
Yeah, from 70 feet out, you can tell it's got the classic Zagato body, significant to Alfa or Aston or any of the other
Fiat.
Yeah, exactly.
Oscar.
Yeah.
It's an elegant way to give a little bit more headroom and not have necessarily a really tall roof line.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks fantastic. And I love the flying buttress seats, which is kind of an Alfa signature. Floor shifter in this car. I know that some of these 1900 SS Z cars were column shift, but that's definitely a more sporting arrangement.
Yeah, and even from the headliner being pleated to all the engine turning on all the stainless pieces in the interior, the car is just elegant and very well restored.
It also has the scrutineering tags around the steering column. So it's some wire sealed by a lead weight, which meant that it passed technical inspection for competition.
Yeah, well, this car ran the Mille Miglia several times during its life, and so it's pretty special to still have all these here with the car.
What is this? A 79 Mercedes Benz 280 wagon. At first, you might not think it's special. These are bulletproof cars, very reliable, and a whole lot of fans out there. But this car has a special story.
Yeah, I think when you walk through this room, it's a fairly pedestrian car that you might not expect Gooding Christie's to sell at auction. But this particular car, imagine you've just spec'd your dream Mercedes wagon, you pick it up at the factory, you drive it to your home in Italy, and then there's an earthquake that cuts off access to the town and access to your garage. And so this particular car was stuck in a garage for over 40 years. And so it was basically left untouched, stored, and it's presented today with 6,000 kilometers.
So because of an earthquake, the car was isolated in this garage.
Yeah, untouched, undercover, and the car was safe, but you weren't able to drive cars in and out of the town. The interior, the engine compartment, everything about the car just really shows a very low mileage 123 wagon.
This olive paint with the matching interior is out of sight.
Yeah, good luck trying to find replacements for anything in here because it's so incredibly well done. But this green is insane. I love it.
All right, first of all, it feels like a banker's vault in here. I always say that about these Mercedes, but they really were, they felt as if they were hewn out of a single piece of steel. There's a smell of the Gumihar upholstery materials. It smells like a new car.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is.
This is a massive bus wheel of a steering wheel. Very comfortable though, and a great texture on it. Really good under your fingers. The olive interior is so 70s.
Yeah, the US doesn't really get wagons the same way that Europe does. And so this 123 wagon, I think they're really special. You don't go anywhere quickly. But they've aged so beautifully, they're so timeless, and just really great cars, and you just never see one this well preserved because they were bought new, because they were functional, and you could fit a lot of people in here. You've got the rear-facing seating in the back, and it was meant to be a car that was actually used, and so to find one in this condition is incredibly rare.
Yeah, and you know, Mercedes-Benz cars, especially of this era, they're kind of famous for their high mileage badges that the factory would award. And there are Mercedes-Benz cars out there with million-mile badges.
Yeah, so it's an exciting chance for a new owner to buy it new and put 1,000,000 miles on it if they wanted to.
And right there it says 6,088 kilometers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just looking around, nothing is touched or worn. It really is a brand new car. And it's a great reference car because this is exactly as it would have left the factory. And it's got the rear-facing bench seat, which is pretty rad.
And that dash mat. How much do you love that dash mat? Come on in.
There we go.
All right, so if we were 10 years old, it would be comfortable. I don't want to ride in this as an adult, but it's...
I'm absolutely comfortable. Route 66, we're road tripping, mom and dad are fighting in the front, and we're just waving at all the semi-trucks that we're passing by.
Hi!
And again, this interior is absolutely perfect. I mean, it doesn't look like anybody has ever put their feet back here, so we're one of very few people to have probably sat in these rear jump seats.
They don't build them like this anymore.
No, not at all.
We had a 67 Ford wagon growing up, and it had a rear-facing seat.
Cool.
I remember riding in that. That kind of dates me, but
Well,
anyway.
what do you say we buy this? And we'll road trip down the coast together. We have to find somebody to drive us, obviously.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
obviously.
I want to sit in the back and drink champagne. All right, listen to this. I mean, this is Mercedes quality. Go ahead, Lance.
Vault door.
The iconic Mercedes Benz Gullwing. This one has a few differences from your garden variety Gullwing, which is kind of funny to say, but
Yeah, this car is a bit more special than your typical Gullwing. It's got a few of the appointments that you'd expect from maybe an alloy bodied car, which is the NSL engine, a little bit more power. It's got the sport suspension, so it lays a little bit lower. It's a little bit more rigid than a typical steel bodied car. And we've got the Rudge knockoff wheels.
we have to open the Gullwing doors because that's what everybody loves, right?
Absolutely. I love this tartan interior. The fitted luggage is just a cool addition.
So the W194 competition cars is sort of where the Gullwing started, and they have that tubular frame which necessitated these wide sills.
Yep.
So that's why they came up with the Gullwing doors. And it turned out to be such an amazing design element. It's functional, but it's also beautiful and so modern for a car of this era.
And now so iconic for the car and for the brand as well. So this car has the NSL series engine, which includes a sportier cam, an upgraded fuel injection pump, as well as retime distributor, and it adds quite a bit more horsepower for the engine.
I can't remember how many degrees the engine is laid over on one side, but you can see that it's at an angle, and that was to get the hood line on the SL much lower. Also, this has to be one of the most elegant air intakes ever produced. Look at that cast aluminum, just beautiful. Okay guys, this is a 1929 Alfa Romeo 6C 1500. This is a competition car. So the 6C means it's a 6-cylinder engine. This is a really special car. It raced at the famous Brooklyn circuit in 1929. There was a race there called the Brooklyn's Double 12, which was a 24-hour race, but it was broken up. They would run 12 hours Saturday and then 12 hours on Sunday. So it wasn't a continuous 24-hour race. But in any case, this car won that race in 29. Another very special thing about this car is it's got what's called the Testa Fissa engine, which is a monoblock engine. In other words, the cylinder head and block are one casting. They did that to avoid overpressurizing and blowing head gaskets because the car is supercharged. The car also has wonderful Zagato Grand Sport coachwork. Both the Testa Fissa engine and the Grand Sport coachwork were fitted at a later date, but in period, so it's all very authentic. Lance, this car smells like a musty old closet or something. Well, it smells like an old car should smell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks the part. It was restored, but has great patina after years of use, and it's really special to see something that has period racing history that's held up to the test of time. They do have really great racing provenance, but it's also easy to see the lineage of how this in period was a modern supercar. And so you see a lot of people that are entering the space that might think something from the 80s is vintage. But then when you look back in time and you give somebody a test drive in this, I think doing 60, 70 miles an hour in this car feels
like 100.
Yes, exactly.
Incidentally, the pedal arrangement in this car is a little bit unconventional, let's say, but not unusual for the time. A left clutch, center throttle, and right brake. So a little bit different.
You might need different shoes if you were going to take this.
I would definitely need different shoes, but you know what? This pedal box actually is roomier than my own 1960 Alfa Romeo, believe it or not. And there's no, I have such big feet, I cannot heel and toe. It's really difficult.
Yep. These are really incredibly fun cars to drive, and they're still functional today, and there is a group of people in 6Cs and 8Cs that you can go driving with and help maintain and keep these cars alive.
Absolutely. Also, you'll notice that this car has transparent red headlamp covers, just so that stones wouldn't break the headlamp lenses. But it also lets spectators know that it was an Alfa coming down the road. As soon as they saw those red covers, they knew it was an Alfa Romeo. The intake manifold on these cars is so artful with the cooling fins. This car has an SU carburetor, which is British. And right here, you'll notice the supercharger. I think that's a Roots type, so like a twin screw supercharger. A little bit of patina on this car, Lance, right? But that's okay. Sometimes it's nice to see that.
Everything in the car is aged well enough to where you could drive it as is without needing a restoration, but you also have the option of restoring the car.
Yeah, and then you're not too worried about maybe a nick or a scratch here and there.
The car's begging to be driven, so in this state, you really could just have an absolute blast with it and not worry too much about ruining a restoration.
All right, next, guys, we have an Alfa Romeo 8C Lungo Spider from 1932. Lungo being long in Italian. And this is the 8-cylinder big brother of the 6C. Now, this is a little bit different than the 6C, which is a true competition car, whereas this is more of a touring car, right?
Correct, yeah, the power plant would have been appropriate for period motorsport, but because it was a long wheelbase car, these were typically built with custom styling that was more for road use.
I mean, it's a 1930s supercar, right?
Yeah, effectively. It's and with this Zagato styling, it really is elegant. And like a lot of cars in period, in the late 30s, a different body was put onto the car. It was a drop head coupe for a while, and then more recently it was restored to this level, kind of taking it back to the Zagato body styling.
Yeah, in fact, it was really common for the owners of these cars to switch out bodies. Styles and tastes would change. So a lot of cars like this had in-period modifications.
Yeah, these early Alfas are really coveted cars, and they end up being in long-term ownership quite often just because they're so special and so engaging to drive, and I think the people that understand them really appreciate and want to collect. And so the 8C and 6C are actually both coming from the same collection we're selling at Pebble Beach, the Bronkhorst collection.
I saw this car at Pebble Beach after it was restored, and I know also that it did a tour of the Rocky Mountains too, which it really speaks to how powerful and reliable these cars are.
Yeah, and highly functional. You can do both with them. I mean, it's elegant enough to hold its own on the show fields at Pebble Beach, as well as taking it across the Rockies or across the US or even Europe.
Pre-war Alfa, enough said, right?
Yeah, they're incredible.
So in the 1950s, if you wanted to cruise, I don't know, the Italian Riviera or anywhere in sunny Italy, and you had a boatload of money to spend on a car, this would be your car.
Yeah, the Lancia Aurelia B24S is really special. This car in particular, as the name suggests, it was built for the North American market, actually. And so the US market had a demand for sporting European cars.
No roll-up windows, removable hardtop, which I understand the original owner had specially made for the car after his purchase, and that is a rare piece for sure.
Yeah, and just the spec in general. I mean, the Verde Aquamarine over the green interior, and this car has the original engine, gearbox.
Lancia was a very innovative company from the start. This car has a compact V6. It's got inboard brakes, I think. Some really interesting technical things about the car. Also, a Didion rear axle. You know, they were not cheap cars. This is somewhere between an Alfa and a Ferrari in terms of price and status.
Yeah, and I love these cars. They're just short wheelbase, very sporty.
Look at how delicate that rear view mirror is mounted on the dash. Cockpit is not too snug. It looks actually very comfortable.
No, plenty of legroom in here. You can comfortably drive the car.
So many little delicate details on this car. The windscreen wipers, that intake on the bonnet, the split bumpers. I mean, those are fantastic. The tail lamps, just a really artful look. Lance, can we look under the hood?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Lance, what do we have here?
Yeah, so this is the Ferrari Dino 206 sports car that they would have ran at Le Mans in period. It's got the Dino V6 engine in it. Light and nimble. Historically, Ferrari had dominated Le Mans with big V12s, and then this car would have entered in the 2-liter class. And funny enough, we're actually sitting next to a Porsche 910, which would have similarly ran together in period.
Right.
Yeah.
They were rivals. The Dino name comes from Enzo Ferrari's son. And Dino was kind of a prodigy. At a very early age, he was interested in designing and convinced his father that a V6 was an option. And so the Dino as a nameplate is a tribute to Dino Ferrari because unfortunately he passed away young.
Yeah, very young. And, because Ferrari had been so successful with V12s and V8s in the past, I think the idea of having a V6 was quite different, and they proved that they could do quite well with this car.
Ferrari tried all sorts of different engine configurations. 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, 8 cylinders, 12. One of the things that's cool about this car is that you can see design cues in this racing car that made it to production cars later on down the road.
Yeah, of course.
I love the livery. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the North American Racing Team livery. So this was a factory race car, and then later on was sold to Luigi Chinetti, who was a big Ferrari importer, good friend of Enzo's, and he fielded his own racing team. And this car was raced in the States, right?
It was, yeah. It had 2 lives, one with Ferrari, and then again with Chinetti and Nart Racing.
And it was driven by both Pedro Rodriguez and Nino Vaccarella.
Yeah.
Nino being, what was his nickname? The Flying Headmaster.
Oh, that's great.
Because he operated a vocational school. He was Sicilian, and he was kind of the favorite son during the Targa Florio because the Targa Florio took place on Sicily.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to your comment earlier about just the beauty of the car. I mean, it's low, it's wide, it's got a short wheelbase, very nimble racing car, but also what I love about vintage Ferrari is they were so intentional about the interior, and you've got this blue and red leather that's so iconic for the era of Ferrari race cars, and everything is just so delicately placed. And sitting in this car, I realized that I was never cut to be a factory Ferrari driver. The footwell and the height.
All right, Lance, can I sit in this car?
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm 6 feet tall. We'll see if I can get in with some grace. Okay, first foot in, and then, all right, propping myself up here. All right, well, I'm not racing this thing.
Yeah, thankfully driver swaps at Le Mans period were a bit slower, so don't worry about your timing, but you might be 6 inches too tall to successfully race the car.
You know what they say about Italian cars? You're supposed to have short legs and long arms. Yeah. And I think it's true in this, although short arms would help too. Now, this is something they did not have to do. Put a Dino badge right here, but it's a great little touch. Okay, getting in was not graceful. Maybe getting out will be better. It's not better. Well, Lance, last but certainly not least is this 1963 Ferrari 250p, of which there were 4 built, right?
Correct, yeah. I mean, saving best for last here in the room at least. The 250p is, one of the star cars for our Pebble Beach auction, and there's a lot to admire about this car. I think foundationally, what it meant for Ferrari, it was the first mid-engine sports racing car that they had produced. Ferrari stuck with the front engine layout for quite a long time. And they had success in Formula One in '61 with a mid-engine.
The Tipo 156.
Correct. And that finally translated into this car. And really in 1963, the 250Ps dominated motorsport. There wasn't a race that it didn't win, aside from the Targa Florio, but at Le Mans and Nürburgring, there was incredible success throughout the season. And of the 4 built, this was the first chassis made.
Enzo Ferrari famously said the horse should pull the cart.
Yep.
He was not convinced about moving from a front engine design to a mid-engine or rear engine, but other little constructors like Cooper had done very well with that layout. And, you know, the guy who was really instrumental in moving Ferrari ahead in the early 60s with their competition cars was Mauro Forghieri. And Forghieri took over after the Palace coup in 1961 when a bunch of very top men left Ferrari. There's a whole story behind that. But Forghieri was pretty young and he had a lot on his shoulders. He ended up being sort of a son figure to Enzo, and Enzo was a father figure to him. This was after, of course, the death of Dino Ferrari. So this is a glorious time in Ferrari history for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this story is true. It's just what I've heard, but if you look at Ferrari competition cars, a lot of them have blue upholstery on the seating. The story I heard was that in the early history of the company, they were getting a car ready. It was due to race the next day, and they still hadn't upholstered the seats. So they improvised by using mechanics coveralls, which happened to be blue, and that sort of began a tradition with Ferrari competition interiors.
No, that's a great story. No, I think what's special about this car is obviously the design, and it's a car that had full-scale wind tunnel testing, which is why you see the wraparound windscreen and the low, wide body. That obviously proved to be very successful for Ferrari in '63.
This was kind of, I think, the tail end of open sports racing cars as well. To get those sustained high speeds higher and higher on the Mulsanne straight, they moved to enclosed bodywork.
Yeah, and you know, this car just has outright power, but when cars were running the 2-liter displacement, they needed to be a bit more aero and slippery, and so I think the open cockpit cars were successful in the 50s and early 60s before they went into a closed cockpit, more aerodynamic, more downforce.
Right. Now this car is a 3-liter V12, and if you're not familiar with Ferrari nomenclature, basically the number denotes the displacement of one cylinder, right? So 250 times 12, 3 liters. This fuel filler is fantastic.
Yeah, the external fuel fillers are great. There were only 4 250Ps made. Some of the other cars were wrecked or had caught fire. This car has been relatively untouched its entire racing career and its entire life, and it's been in the same collection for decades since, and so it presents really originally today.
And this particular chassis was driven in period by Lorenzo Bandini and Nino Vaccarella. That's pretty cool. Can we open it up and see the V12?
Yeah, I'd love to. So you've got these leather straps here.
Okay.
And then you've got these 2 latches on the side that will release.
This is massive, but it's really light, of course. It's alloy, and there's very little internal bracing, so it does flex a bit.
All this hand-formed aluminum is really impressive. If you look at the rear clamshell, you can see all the hammer marks.
Absolutely.
You can see the gas welds that go up the inner fenders. And then seeing 6 carbs on top of that V12
Yes.
is incredible. There's footage of it at the start at Le Mans, and it just pulls out, and for 100 feet, it's the rear end is kicked out and just accelerating past the rest of the field.
Lance, thanks for showing me around. This was awesome. The Gooding Christie's Pebble Beach Auction for 2026 is August 14th and 15th, right?
Correct.
And if you want to watch the auction live, go to goodingco.com and see these cars cross the block. Lance, thank you so much.
Maurice, thank you so much for coming today. It was great to show you around a little bit what we have at Pebble, and I look forward to seeing you up at Car Week.
I will see you there. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.